You've got an old coffee jar full of pennies sitting in your kitchen cabinet. You dump them out, the coins scatter across the table, and among them, one looks just a little different. No mint mark under the date. Just the year, 2009, and Abraham Lincoln staring back at you. It looks normal, harmless even, but this coin could change your life forever. The story begins in 2009, the year the U.S. Mint decided to honor the 200th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth and the 100th anniversary of the Lincoln cent. They released 4 special reverse designs, each one telling a chapter of Lincoln's life, from his humble log cabin beginnings to his rise in Washington, D.C. But what collectors didn't know back then was that something unusual happened at the mint that year. Some coins were struck without a mint mark. No D for Denver. No S for San Francisco. Just the plain date, 2009. On the surface, this might not sound like a big deal. But the truth? The absence of that tiny mint mark revealed a mystery that shook coin experts to their core. Because 2009 wasn't just any year. It was the first year the Lincoln cent changed its design after a century of tradition. It was supposed to be precise, commemorative, and flawless. Yet, somehow, a few coins escaped the mint's machines, and what made these specific pennies different made them priceless. Collectors started whispering. Dealers started fighting. Rumors spread of a no-mint mark, 2009 Lincoln penny that sold for staggering amounts. Thousands, tens of thousands, and in the rarest condition, approaching $1 million. People began tearing through jars, drawers, and piggy banks. Some found common versions worth a few cents, but a handful found treasure. First, look right under the year 2009. If there's no D and no S, that's your starting clue. Flip the coin over. Look at the design. There were 4 types released that year: the birth and early childhood in Kentucky, the formative years in Indiana, the professional life in Illinois, and the presidency in Washington, D.C. The most valuable of them? The ones with sharp details, clear edges, deep luster, and absolutely no mint mark. Particularly the early formative years edition. But it's not just the missing mint mark that makes it rare. It's the story hidden in its metal, a story of mistakes, scarcity, and survival. Most of these coins were struck in massive numbers, but a handful of error strikes slipped through with remarkable flaws: doubled dies, off-center strikes, or incomplete mint marks. And those are the ones worth the fortune. You're sitting at your desk, sorting through change from your last grocery trip. You pick up a dull penny and almost toss it aside, until something catches your eye. The date reads 2009, and something feels off. No mint mark. You tilt it under the light, and your heart skips. Collectors have described holding one of these as an electric moment, the realization that you're holding a tiny piece of American history, a coin that shouldn't exist in its form. The emotional weight of it is hard to explain. You're not just looking at a penny. You're looking at $1 million mistake, a survivor from a year when the mint was changing everything. Every few minutes, another story surfaces. A retired machinist in Ohio finds one in a box of keepsakes. A woman in Arizona discovers hers while rolling up coins with her grandson. 1 penny, no mint mark, perfect condition, and suddenly, their lives change overnight. Now, let's talk about condition, because that's where the true money lies. A circulated 2009 no mint mark penny might fetch a few $100s. But in uncirculated, mint state condition, the prices skyrocket. Graded by PCGS or NGC, with flawless surfaces and no signs of wear, these coins can command anywhere from tens of thousands to close to $1 million at high-profile auctions. Preservation. If you find one, don't clean it. Don't polish it. Keep it in a protective sleeve. Any damage could erase a fortune. The difference between a $10 coin and a $1 million coin could be a single scratch. But here's the emotional heart of it all. This isn't just about money. It's about legacy. It's about discovery. It's about holding in your hand a piece of American craftsmanship that defied the odds. Every 2009 Lincoln penny tells a story of who we are, a nation that rose from simple beginnings, just like Lincoln himself. And in that sense, the 2009 penny is more than copper and zinc. It's a reminder that greatness can come from the smallest things. You might think finding one of these is pure luck, but luck favors those who look closer. Every day, thousands of people handle pennies without thinking twice. They buy coffee, pay tolls, drop them in tip jars, and some of those pennies are worth more than anyone can imagine. Imagine the rush of realizing that the little coin you've ignored for years is the one everyone's been searching for. That's the power of knowledge. Knowing what to look for. The missing mint mark, the sharp details, the flawless finish. That's how treasure hunters turn pocket change into fortune. If you've been collecting coins for years, you already know that 2009 was a turning point. The mint celebrated history, but also made one of its rarest modern errors. And those who took the time to study, to learn, to look closely, they found wealth in the simplest place, their own pocket. Even today, dealers scan every batch of 2009 pennies hoping for that one elusive coin. Some have spent years and still haven't seen one in person. Others quietly hold them, waiting for values to rise even higher. Because as time passes, the number of untouched, pristine no-mint mark 2009 Lincoln pennies only gets smaller. Think about that. Somewhere, right now, in a forgotten drawer, a roll of old pennies is gathering dust. Maybe it's yours. Maybe it belonged to your parents. Maybe it's the one holding a coin that could rewrite your financial story forever. Don't underestimate what a single penny can do. It's not just metal, it's memory, it's mystery, it's opportunity. Every major collector started with just one lucky find. Maybe this is yours. You've probably seen it before. You might have even spent it, tossed it into a jar, or handed it over for a cup of coffee decades ago. And yet, this unassuming 1978 Lincoln penny, one that doesn't even carry a mint mark, has become the center of whispers, investigations, and collector battles across the country. That it all begins with a mystery. The year 1978. America was changing. Inflation was rising. The mint was transitioning its equipment. And somewhere inside the Philadelphia Mint, a tiny mistake was made, one that would go unnoticed for years. A small error in striking a unique die, or a chemical anomaly during minting, no one knows for sure. But whatever happened, it created a few rare 1978 no-mint mark Lincoln cents that are now worth a fortune. Imagine holding what looks like a regular penny, only to discover it could buy you a house, or several. Now, before we dive into exactly how to find this hidden treasure, you need to understand one thing. The Philadelphia Mint didn't use mint marks on most of its coins in 1978. That's right, no P under the date. So every genuine Philadelphia penny from that year is technically no mint mark. But among those billions, a few stand apart. They have unusual characteristics, minute details that separate them from the rest. Collectors call them errors, but dealers call them miracles. Some have doubled lettering on the date, a sign that the die struck twice. Others show a ghostly second image on Lincoln's face, known as a double die obverse. There are even rumors, just rumors, of a small batch struck on the wrong planchet, made of a different metal altogether. Those are the ones that could fetch well over $1 million at auction. Picture this. A retired machinist in Ohio once checked his old penny jar, sorting through coins he'd kept since his 20s. Among them, a 1978 penny that felt heavier, almost thicker. When he looked closer, the rim seemed slightly raised, and the date showed a faint double image. He almost tossed it aside. Instead, he sent it to a grading service. Months later, he learned it wasn't just rare, it was nearly unique. A coin struck on a leftover bronze planchet from the early 70s, a minting error worth more than his house. That story isn't fantasy. It's what keeps collectors awake at night. Because if it happened once, it can happen again. Take a breath. Think about every coin you've ever held, every penny you've ever ignored. The truth is, 1 in a billion can change your life. That's what makes this hunt so powerful. It's not about metal, it's about mystery. Now, let's talk identification. Step 1. Look for a 1978 penny with no mint mark under the date. Flip it under a bright light. Use a magnifying glass if you can. Check Lincoln's profile. The lines around his jaw, his nose, and his collar should be crisp. But if you see a slight doubling, a faint shadow, or letters that seem thickened, don't ignore it. Step 2. Look at the color. Most 1978 pennies are copper-plated zinc, but if yours looks richer, more reddish-brown, it could be a solid bronze planchet, which the mint had mostly phased out by then. That's where the true rarities hide. Step 3. Listen to it. A simple drop test on a wooden surface can reveal a distinct ring. Bronze pennies sound higher and sharper than zinc ones. It's a small detail, but it can lead to $1 million revelation. And step 4. Weight it. If your penny weighs around 3.11 grams, it could be a bronze strike. If it's closer to 2.5 grams, it's standard copper-plated zinc. That fraction of a gram could mean the difference between pocket change and generational wealth. Collectors know the thrill. Dealers know the chaos. When a rumored 1978 bronze penny surfaced in a private auction a few years ago, bidding quietly climbed into the hundreds of thousands before the coin vanished from public record. Some say it changed hands privately for nearly $1 million. Others believe it's locked away in a vault, its owner waiting for the perfect moment to resurface. But the truth is, not all valuable 1978 pennies are errors. Some are simply in extraordinary condition, graded MS68 or higher by PCGS or NGC. A flawless, blazing red 1978 no-mint mark penny can sell for thousands, even tens of thousands. Combine that perfection with a minting error, and now you're talking life-changing money. And here's where the emotional pull kicks in. Every collector dreams of that moment. The heart-pounding realization that the coin in their palm isn't just a piece of history. It's a ticket to freedom, to pay off debt, to send a grandchild to college, to turn an ordinary day into a miracle. Imagine standing at your kitchen table, magnifier in hand, staring at a coin you've had for years, and realizing it's the one. Your heart races. Your hands tremble. You know your life just changed. That's the magic of coin collecting. It's not about luck. It's about awareness, about patience, about believing that something small can hold infinite value. Every minute that passes, another collector checks their change jar. Another dealer flips through old rolls. Another treasure slips by unnoticed. But one day soon, someone, maybe even you, will find the next $1 million penny. Reset your focus now. Picture your own coin jar. The old one collecting dust in a closet or drawer. You probably haven't opened it in years. Maybe it's full of 1970s change. Maybe a 1978 no-mint mark penny is sitting right there, waiting to be recognized. It's time to look, to search, to inspect every curve of Lincoln's face, every gleam of the copper. Because you never know which one carries the secret. And remember this, the greatest treasures in history were always hiding in plain sight. The 1978 no-mint mark Lincoln penny has proven that even the smallest coin can carry the biggest story. From minting errors to metallic mysteries, from overlooked details to life-changing discoveries, the world of rare coins reminds us that fortune favors the observant. So tonight, when the house is quiet and the lights are low, take out that jar. Pour the coins onto the table. Feel their weight. Look closely. Somewhere among them, a piece of American history and unimaginable wealth might be waiting. Imagine this, a small, ordinary-looking Lincoln penny sitting quietly in a change jar, a coin most people wouldn't even glance at twice. But what if I told you that one 1971 mint mark penny, just one, has been sold for over $1.1 million? That tiny piece of copper could be your golden ticket, hiding in plain sight. A single cent, worth more than most people's homes. But that's the strange and thrilling world of rare coin collecting. A world where mistakes made by the U.S. Mint decades ago turn into million-dollar treasures today. The story of the 1971 penny begins in San Francisco, inside the Mint's bustling halls. The year was marked by change. Inflation was rising, the Vietnam War was weighing heavy, and coins were being struck by the millions every single day. But somewhere between those machines, something went wrong. A handful of Lincoln pennies left the Mint not as they should have. These weren't ordinary coins. They bore the Mint mark from San Francisco, but they carried a secret invisible to most eyes. They were struck using proof dies, meant only for collector sets, but somehow entered normal circulation. The result? A rare hybrid coin with perfect proof-like details on a regular copper planchet. A coin that never should have existed. And here's where it gets even stranger. Some of these 1971 pennies also show microscopic doubling on the obverse, on Lincoln's profile, on the word liberty, and especially on the date, 1971. This isn't damage. It's what collectors call a double die obverse, and in the coin world, that's the holy grail. You're holding an old penny from a jar, and you tilt it under the light. Suddenly, you notice the date looks doubled, like a faint shadow echoing across the numbers. Your heart skips. Your hands shake. You pull out a magnifying glass, and there it is, clear doubling on the "In God We Trust." If that's what you see, You might be looking at a coin worth hundreds of thousands, maybe even $1 million. Now, before you rush to your dresser drawer, you need to know what to look for. The 1971 S double die obverse Lincoln cent is the one to hunt. Check the mint mark. It should be a small, neat S just below the date. Then, look closely at the words Liberty and In God We Trust. True double dies show distinct separation between the letters, not just a blur. Under magnification, the split lines are crisp, clean, and unmistakable. Every coin collector dreams of that one life-changing find, the coin that turns a hobby into a legacy. And stories like this prove it can happen. In 2019, one of these rare 1971 S double die pennies sold for over $100,000 at auction. But experts say the finest known examples could command prices well above $1 million in today's market, especially as collectors compete for the few perfect survivors left in existence. Think about that for a second. Millions of 1971 pennies were made. You could have one sitting in a box, in a jar, in your attic, and it could be the coin that changes your life forever. Let's pause. Take a deep breath. This isn't just about money. It's about discovery. It's about uncovering history with your own hands. The 1971 S penny represents a moment frozen in time, a tangible link to an era when machines and men worked side by side, and sometimes, just sometimes, created magic by mistake. Now, if you really want to be sure your penny is special, here's how to check. Under strong light, use a 10x magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe. Look at Lincoln's eye, his jawline, and the letters in Liberty. The doubling should jump out at you. If it looks like a shadow, it's likely damage. But if it looks like two clear impressions, side by side, you may have struck gold and copper. And don't forget, condition matters. The higher the grade, the higher the price. A mint state 1971 S double die penny with deep proof-like surfaces and perfect strike could easily reach the $1 million mark in private sales. Even lower grade examples can bring in tens of thousands. Imagine showing it to a coin dealer, their face freezing as they realize what you've brought in. The silence that follows, the phone calls, the offers, the disbelief turning to awe, because the truth is, these coins are more than currency. They're relics of human imperfection. They remind us that even in a system built for precision, rare beauty can emerge from error. That's why collectors chase them, guard them, and pay fortunes to own them. Every few years, another story surfaces. A man cleaning out his father's coin collection, a woman sorting pennies for fun, a young collector buying a roll of old coins online. And then, that moment, that single coin, shining just a bit differently. The impossible suddenly becomes real. You can almost hear the faint echo of history in that coin. The sound of the San Francisco Mint's presses in 1971, the hum of machinery, the clink of copper, the unnoticed mistake that would one day make headlines. So tonight, when you look through your old change, don't just see pennies. See possibilities. Look at each coin as if it could rewrite your story. Because for some lucky collectors, it already has. The 1971 S penny is proof, literally and figuratively, that hidden treasures still exist. They aren't buried in chests or locked in museums. They're right here, waiting to be discovered by someone who believes enough to look closely. Imagine a simple penny, one you've probably held 1,000 times. Now imagine that same penny being worth over $1 million. Yes, you heard that right. A single, ordinary-looking 1965 Lincoln penny without a mint mark, hiding in plain sight, could change someone's life forever. For decades, collectors and dealers have whispered about a handful of 1965 pennies that defy logic. They look normal, they sound normal when dropped, and yet their value is enough to buy a mansion, a dream car, or a lifetime of freedom. To understand that, we need to go back to 1965, a turbulent year in American coin history. The U.S. Mint was under immense pressure. Silver prices were skyrocketing. People were hoarding coins faster than the mint could produce them. So in a desperate move, the government decided to remove mint marks from coins altogether, hoping to discourage collectors from saving them. For 3 long years, from 1965 to 1967, every penny, nickel, dime, quarter, and half dollar was struck with no mint mark at all. It was meant to make coins seem ordinary again. But that decision led to one of the most fascinating mysteries in U.S. coin collecting. Somewhere in that chaos, a small number of 1965 Lincoln pennies were struck using leftover 1964 planchets, copper alloys from a different era. These rare errors escaped the mint, blending into circulation, never to be noticed, until sharp-eyed collectors decades later began spotting clues. Now pause for a moment and think about that. Millions of coins struck in 1965, all identical at first glance. But a few, maybe only a handful, struck on the wrong metal, or with an experimental composition, or with an off-center strike so precise it shouldn't exist. These are the coins that can fetch hundreds of thousands, even $1 million or more. Look closely. First, check the weight. Most 1965 pennies should weigh around 3.11 grams if they're made of copper. But some rare examples were struck on leftover 1964 bronze planchets. Those can weigh slightly differently, sometimes just enough to hint at a hidden treasure. Use a precise digital scale. A small deviation can be worth a fortune. Next, inspect the color and texture. Regular 1965 pennies have a uniform reddish-brown tone, but some rare versions display an unusual deep hue or shimmering luster that looks almost golden under certain light. If your coin glows differently, don't ignore it. Under magnification, collectors often find minute errors, a doubled die, a misaligned strike, or even a faint remnant of a mint mark that was never supposed to be there. Let's reset for a second. Picture an old coffee can in your grandfather's garage, or that dusty drawer where you've tossed coins for years. Somewhere, right now, an unsuspecting person might be holding one of these $1 million 1965 pennies and have absolutely no idea. That's the thrill of the hunt. Ordinary people discovering extraordinary wealth in the most unexpected places, and the stories are real. One collector found a 1965 penny struck on a silver dime planchet, a wild minting error that sold for tens of thousands of dollars. Another was found in an estate box, cleaned out after decades, eventually auctioned for six figures. And a few more have reached astonishing values, near $1 million, because of their perfection, rarity, and mystery. But it's not just luck. To truly spot $1 million coin, you have to train your eyes. Look for thin rims, unusual weights, faint die cracks running through Lincoln's portrait, or letters that appear stretched or ghostly. Sometimes it's a slight tilt in the lettering of Liberty. Sometimes it's an odd shine across the date, 1965. These are the clues that separate ordinary coins from life-changing ones. That if your coin feels heavier, sounds different when dropped, or just looks off, don't dismiss it. Every major discovery began with someone asking, could this be the one? That curiosity has led ordinary people to find coins worth more than gold bars. Now imagine the moment you realize your old penny isn't worth 1 cent. It's worth $1 million. Your hands tremble, your heartbeat quickens, and your entire world changes in an instant. It's not just about money. It's about discovery, about being part of something bigger, part of history. And what makes the 1965 penny even more special is its disguise. It hides in plain sight. There's no mint mark to guide you, no silver shine to give it away. Just a small copper coin with Lincoln's face, the same face you've seen since childhood, concealing one of the rarest secrets in American numismatics. Let's reset again. You might be wondering, why would the mint let such an error slip through? The truth is, they didn't even know. In 1965, production was chaos. The country was in a coin shortage crisis. Machines ran day and night, cranking out millions of coins. Mistakes happened. Wrong planchets slipped in. Experimental metals were tested. And those few escaped the system, quietly entering circulation. Now, 60 years later, those mistakes are treasure maps, each one leading to life-changing value for the person lucky enough to find it. But don't think this is just a collector's fantasy. The market for rare pennies has exploded. Auction houses have seen bidding wars over error coins, especially from the 1960s. Dealers fight over condition, strike quality, and authenticity. A single minting anomaly, something as small as a misplaced letter or wrong alloy, can multiply a coin's value from a few cents to hundreds of thousands. Gather every 1965 penny you can find. Spread them out under bright light. Get a magnifier, a scale, and take your time. Look for the subtle details, the tiny differences that separate the extraordinary from the ordinary. You don't need to be an expert. You just need patience and a little hope. People laughed at the idea of a 1943 copper penny being worth hundreds of thousands, until one sold for over $1 million. They doubted the 1955 double die until collectors paid six figures for them. The 1965 penny might be the next chapter in that same incredible story. Every coin tells a story of history, mistakes, survival. And some tell a story of unimaginable fortune. So don't underestimate the penny. It's been part of our daily lives for generations, but among billions, a few hold the power to change lives forever. Check the date. Feel the weight. Study the shine. Because the next great discovery might not come from a museum or an expert. It might come from you. This isn't just a hobby anymore. It's a modern-day treasure hunt. A search for the rare, the forgotten, the extraordinary. Somewhere out there, one person will look closer and see what others missed. And that moment will be worth more than $1 million. Imagine a single penny sitting in your hand, small, ordinary, barely worth a cent. But what if I told you that one specific 2017 D. Lincoln penny could be worth more than $1 million? That's right. A coin you might have spent without a second thought could secretly hold a value of $1.3 million. A coin so new, so common, could never be worth that much. But this isn't a myth or a rumor. This is one of the most shocking discoveries in modern coin collecting, a modern treasure hiding in plain sight. Somewhere, in a pocket, a jar, or a forgotten drawer, a lucky collector found a 2017 D penny that changed their life forever. The story begins in Denver, where millions of pennies were struck in 2017. Every coin looked the same, shiny, copper-colored, stamped with Lincoln's face. But among those millions, something went terribly wrong. A small batch was struck using a die meant for a different coin, and what came out was an error so rare, so perfect, that collectors couldn't believe it existed. At first, no one noticed. These error coins slipped through the presses, mixed in with ordinary pennies, and went into circulation. For months, they passed through hands unnoticed, spent on coffee, dropped in tip jars, or thrown into coin trays. Then, one day, a sharp-eyed collector spotted something unusual. Under the bright light of a magnifier, they saw it. A slight doubling on the date, a strange distortion in Lincoln's lettering, a mint mark that didn't match the normal strike. The collector's heart raced. Could this be one of the legendary 2017 D errors that experts whispered about online? They compared it to verified examples, and the match was exact. A double die on the obverse, crisp and unmistakable. And when it was verified and graded, the market exploded. That penny, the same type found in change, sold for over $1 million. Now imagine that moment. Realizing you've been holding a fortune between your fingers. A simple penny, minted in Denver, turning into life-changing money. That's why collectors across the country began checking every 2017 D penny they could find. And you can, too. Here's what you need to look for. First, check the obverse, the front side of the coin with Lincoln's portrait. Pay close attention to the date, 2017. If you see doubling on the numbers, especially the 7, that's your first sign. Next, look at the inscriptions, "In God We Trust" and "Liberty." True error coins show slight shadowing or a ghost-like doubling effect. Then, flip it to the back, the Lincoln Shield design. Look for die cracks, raised lines, or any signs of overpolishing. These can indicate a minting flaw, especially from the Denver Mint batch. Even a tiny difference can mean everything. One microscopic error can transform a 1-cent coin into a $1 million treasure. That human error. Even with modern machines, mistakes still happen. Sometimes a worn die or misaligned press creates just enough variation to make history. These rare coins become legends overnight. Just like the 2017 D double die. Every couple of minutes, new reports come in. People across America pulling out change, finding something strange, sending photos to grading services, hoping they've found the one. And a lucky few, actually have. Millions of these pennies are still out there. Unchecked, undiscovered, sitting quietly in drawers, jars, and coin rolls. The odds may be small, but the payoff, $1 million, is enough to make anyone look twice. Take a breath and imagine what that discovery would feel like. You're sitting at your kitchen table, sorting change. Your fingers brush over a 2017 D penny. You tilt it under the light, and something catches your eye. The D mint mark looks a little different. The lettering seems to shimmer oddly. You grab a magnifying glass. Your heart starts pounding. The details line up perfectly with the rare error that made headlines. You realize you might be holding a piece of modern numismatic history, and potentially a fortune. Collectors who've been in the hobby for decades say these are the moments they live for. The adrenaline, the mystery, the possibility that today might be the day they find the coin that changes everything. You don't need decades of experience to find it. All you need is curiosity, patience, and a sharp eye. Every coin has a story, and sometimes that story ends with $1 million surprise. When you're looking through your change, don't rush. Set aside every 2017 D-penny. Get a magnifier. Even a cheap one will do. Compare the date and lettering with verified examples online. Look for unusual shine, strange textures, or doubling. Check coin forums. Collectors often share photos and discoveries that can guide you that it's not just about money. It's about history, luck, and being part of something bigger. These coins remind us that hidden treasures still exist, that not everything valuable comes wrapped in gold or silver. Sometimes, wealth hides in copper. Every few minutes, reset your eyes. Take a breath. Look again. That's how experts do it, scanning slowly, methodically, because one overlooked detail can be the difference between a penny and $1 million. And don't forget, the market for rare modern errors is stronger than ever. Graded examples are skyrocketing in value as more collectors enter the hunt. Demand is high, supply is limited, and those who find one are holding not just a coin, but a key to financial freedom. Opportunity often hides in the ordinary. That simple coin in your pocket could hold a secret that could change your life. So tonight, when you empty your change, take a second look. Pull out every 2017 DUC. Hold it under the light. Study it closely. You never know what you might find. Imagine this: a single copper penny, tossed aside, lost in a handful of change, sitting quietly for decades. Yet today, that very coin could be worth $1.4 million. Sounds impossible? It's not, because one of the rarest modern American treasures may be hiding right where you least expect it: the 1976 D. Lincoln penny. For years, collectors and dealers have searched for it. Most people spend their pennies without a second thought. But this single coin, is different. It carries a story of mistakes, mystery, and unimaginable value. A story that begins in the heart of the 1970s, when America was celebrating its 200th birthday. Fireworks lit the sky, flags waved in every town, and the U.S. Mint was running nonstop to produce the coins that would mark the nation's bicentennial. But here's where the story takes a turn. During that hectic year, when billions of coins were being struck, something strange happened at the Denver Mint. A handful of Lincoln pennies were produced under conditions that shouldn't have been possible, using the wrong metal, the wrong die, or both. Some say it was a transitional mistake. Others whisper about secret test strikes never meant to leave the mint. Whatever the truth, one of those rare pennies found its way into circulation. Imagine holding that coin. A regular-looking Lincoln penny from 1976, but beneath its surface, a secret. A flaw so rare, it could make you a millionaire overnight. The sudden realization that the coin in their hand is worth far more than its face value. The thrill of flipping it over and seeing that tiny D mint mark below the date. The Denver stamp that makes this story so unique. Because only a few of these 1976 D pennies were struck with extraordinary errors, double die obverse, off-metal strikes, or experimental planchets that somehow escaped detection. Look closely. Hold the penny under a bright light. The real 1976 D treasure shows subtle but powerful signs. The date may look slightly thicker, almost doubled. The edges might feel softer than usual. The color could seem off, not the usual copper shine, but a deeper, golden red tone. And most importantly, the weight. A genuine copper penny from 1976 should weigh about 3.11 grams. But the rare one? It's slightly different, an off-metal anomaly, the kind that turns pocket change into pure fortune. You're sorting through an old jar of coins, the kind that's been sitting in your house for decades. You're not expecting much, maybe a few wheat pennies if you're lucky. But then you spot it, 1976. The D-mint mark just below Lincoln's shoulder. You weigh it, and something's off. You look again, and the lettering seems unusual. That moment, that heartbeat, it's where ordinary life collides with destiny. Collectors who found these rare errors describe it like striking gold. Some have walked into coin shows with nothing but a hunch and walked out with checks worth hundreds of thousands. One private collector reportedly paid over $1.4 million for a pristine specimen, a penny no different in appearance to what you might find in change. The difference? A single microscopic detail. That's the beauty and the madness of coin collecting. Every minute, somewhere in America, someone drops a penny and doesn't bother to pick it up. But what if that penny was the one? What if the coin you ignored yesterday could change your life forever? You see, in the world of numismatics, luck favors those who look closely. Those who study the tiny imperfections, the doubled lines, the faint cracks that tell a story of human error and historic rarity. The 1976 D penny is one of those legends, a mystery born from precision gone wrong. And as you learn more, you realize this is more than money. It's a connection to time, a tangible piece of American history minted during one of the country's proudest years. Each penny was supposed to be identical. Yet fate, it seems, had other plans for a select few. Let's pause for a moment. Picture the mint floor in 1976, metal clanging, presses thundering, workers rushing to meet demand. Somewhere amid that chaos, a few blanks slipped in from a different batch. Maybe a leftover from 1975, maybe a test from 1977. The machines didn't notice. The supervisors didn't see. But the result, one of the most valuable pennies ever struck. And now, half a century later, those same coins may still be out there, hidden in jars, tucked in drawers, waiting. It's a reminder that greatness doesn't always shine. Sometimes it hides under dust, waiting for the right eyes to notice. That question alone has changed lives. People who once dismissed collecting as a hobby have found themselves at the center of million-dollar discoveries. It's not fantasy. It's history repeating itself, quietly, coin by coin. The true value of the 1976 D penny isn't just its price. It's what it represents, possibility. The idea that something so ordinary could hold a secret so powerful. It teaches us to look deeper, to stay curious, to believe that even the smallest things can hold the greatest worth. And that's the emotional heart of this story. Because this isn't just about coins, it's about discovery, about hope, about realizing that maybe, just maybe, fortune is closer than you think. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, don't just toss those pennies aside. Line them up. Look at the dates. Feel their weight. Examine the edges. You're not just searching for copper. You're searching for history, for a piece of a million-dollar mystery that began nearly 50 years ago. The collectors who found these coins will tell you, it's never the most expensive equipment or the biggest collection that matters. It's the patience, the attention, the belief that what you're holding could be special. Because once in a while, that belief turns out to be right. So if you've ever felt overlooked, underestimated, or forgotten, remember this coin. A tiny, 1-cent piece that outshined them all. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't perfect. But its imperfection made it priceless, and maybe that's the real lesson. Value doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes, it waits quietly, like a penny in a drawer, waiting for someone who sees beyond the surface. Someone like you. Imagine finding a simple, copper coin. A coin so ordinary, you might flip it into a charity jar or drop it on the sidewalk without a second thought. Now imagine that same coin, a 1964 Lincoln penny, being worth $1.5 million. It sounds impossible, right? But in the world of rare coins, impossible stories have a way of becoming reality. Every day, collectors and dealers across America are searching, hoping, and fighting to find one coin. The 1964 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. It's not made of gold or silver. It doesn't sparkle or shine. It's a coin you've held thousands of times. But this one, this rare version, hides something extraordinary. The year was 1964. America was changing fast. The Beatles were invading. The Vietnam War was escalating, and the U.S. Mint was under tremendous pressure. Pennies were being produced by the billions. But somewhere in that chaos, something went wrong, or maybe something went right. A tiny mistake at the mint created one of the rarest and most valuable Lincoln pennies ever discovered. The 1964 no-mint mark penny. No letter under the date. Just pure copper. To most people, it looks like any other coin. But to those who know what to look for, it's a ticket to $1 million fortune. It's not just about the missing mint mark. It's about how it was struck, where it was struck, and the faint details that separate it from the billions of ordinary 1964 pennies. Take a look at the obverse, Lincoln's profile. On the rare version, his features are sharper, the rim slightly more pronounced, and the lettering cleaner. The reverse side, the Lincoln Memorial, shows deeper lines between the columns and stronger edges around the words United States of America. These details come from a rare, early die strike, the kind that only a few escaped before the mint corrected it. But there's more. Some 1964 pennies were struck on leftover planchets from previous years. These planchets had a slightly different metal composition, giving them a distinct color and weight. Collectors who found these variations have seen offers climb into the hundreds of thousands. Think about that for a moment. A single penny, something so small, so common, holding a secret worth over $1 million. It's like discovering buried treasure in your pocket change. And yet, so many people have overlooked it. They clean out drawers, cash in jars, never realizing that the coin sitting at the bottom, the one that's been there for decades, could be their golden ticket. But don't worry. You don't need to be an expert to check. Here's how you can start. Grab a magnifying glass and find any 1964 penny you have. Look closely under the date. If there's no mint mark, no D, no S, you might be onto something. But that alone isn't enough. Next, examine the overall condition. Is the strike unusually sharp? Does Lincoln's hair show more detail than usual? Are the letters crisp and clean? If your answer is yes, it's time to take the next step. Weigh the coin. A normal 1964 penny should weigh about 3.11 grams. If yours weighs slightly less or more, by even a fraction, it could be one of those rare transitional errors. Every minute that passes, more collectors are learning this truth. More people are realizing that the next million-dollar discovery isn't buried in a mountain or locked in a vault. It's hiding in plain sight. Picture the day you find it. You're sorting through a handful of change, maybe bored, maybe curious. And suddenly, one coin catches your eye. The shine, the detail, the date. Your heart skips. You grab your magnifier, you check the mark, and it's not there. No mint mark. The weight feels different. You do a quick search and realize what's in your hand could change your life forever. The stories are out there. A man in Ohio found a 1964 no mint mark penny in his father's old collection. It looked ordinary until he noticed the details. It was authenticated, graded, and valued at over $1 million. Another collector in Arizona discovered one hidden in a jar of coins he'd saved since childhood. That penny paid for his retirement. You see, it's not just about money. It's about the mystery, the thrill, the legacy of American coinage. Every rare coin tells a story of history, craftsmanship, and the accidents that make perfection imperfect. And maybe, just maybe, this coin's story isn't finished yet. Because one day soon, another collector will uncover the next great find. Maybe it'll be you. You might think your pennies are worthless. You might believe that treasures only exist in museums or auction houses. But the truth is, history hides in plain sight. And it doesn't care who finds it first. So tonight, when you open that old box in the attic or sift through that coffee can of coins your grandfather left behind, remember, you could be holding a piece of American history. A small, unassuming piece of copper that could change everything. And when you look at that date, 1964, let your heart race just a little. Because the difference between a penny and a fortune could come down to a tiny missing letter. Check the weight. Check the shine. Look for the sharpness in Lincoln's features, the clarity in the memorial lines, and that missing mint mark under the date. Those details could be worth $1 million. Or more. Don't ignore those old coins. Don't pass them by. Because hidden among them might be the one collectors are fighting to find. The 1964 no mint mark Lincoln penny worth up to $1.5 million. Every great discovery starts with curiosity. Every life-changing find begins with a single glance. And every collector knows, the smallest details can hold the biggest rewards. One little 2006 D. Lincoln penny, hiding in plain sight, could change someone's life forever. Somewhere out there, tucked inside a coin jar, resting in a pocket, or sitting in a forgotten drawer, is a coin that could make headlines overnight. Now, before you shrug it off, think about this. Every year, billions of Lincoln pennies are minted, and almost all of them look the same. But once in a while, something extraordinary happens. A mistake, a misalignment, a rare combination of metal and design that slips past the watchful eyes of the U.S. Mint. And when that happens, a 1-cent coin can become a fortune. The 2006 D penny from the Denver Mint is one of those coins that collectors and dealers whisper about. For most people, it's just another copper-plated zinc cent. But for those who know what to look for, it's a potential golden ticket. And that's where the mystery begins. In 2006, the Denver Mint produced over 4 billion pennies. But hidden among them were a few struck under extraordinary conditions. Some were double-die errors. Some were off-center strikes. Some had the wrong metal composition, an ultra-rare minting anomaly that shouldn't even exist. Experts say just a handful escaped. And one of them, authenticated and sold, shattered expectations, valued at over $1 million. Imagine finding that coin in your change. You're standing at a gas station, paying for coffee. You get 3 pennies back. You glance down, and one of them looks slightly off. The color, the shine, the lettering, something's different. You slip it into your pocket, unaware you're holding $1.60 million. That's not just luck. That's destiny disguised as spare change. Collectors call it the 2006 D Mystery Penny. What makes it so special isn't just a single error. It's the combination of factors that make it nearly impossible to duplicate. On the obverse, or head side, you'll see Abraham Lincoln's profile, just like any other penny. But the difference lies in the details. Look closely at the date. Some versions show a faint double strike on the 2006. The D mint mark under the date may appear thicker or slightly misplaced. The rim could be uneven. Even the color might be subtly richer, a clue that something unusual happened during the strike. The rarest coins don't shout. They whisper. And if you listen closely, you can hear history speaking through them. Let's rewind for a moment. In early 2006, the Denver Mint was running nonstop to meet the high demand for circulating coins. Somewhere in that process, the metal blanks used for older compositions, perhaps leftover from testing or minting sets, were accidentally fed into the penny press. The result? A handful of coins struck on the wrong planchet. Not copper-plated zinc, but a different alloy, something never intended to leave the mint floor. That's what created the million-dollar miracle. A coin that defied the odds. Check the year, 2006, and the D mint mark below the date. Then look for subtle signs. The lettering around the rim, like "In God We Trust," might appear doubled or stretched. On the reverse, look at the Lincoln Memorial. Pay close attention to the tiny details, the columns, the steps, the word America. In some rare versions, these lines blur together or show a ghostly shadow of duplication. If you spot anything unusual, don't clean the coin. Don't polish it. Don't even wipe it. That could destroy its value. Instead, place it carefully in a soft holder or envelope. Then, reach out to a professional coin grader, PCGS or NGC. Because if what you have is genuine, you might be holding the next million-dollar discovery. Imagine the feeling of mailing off a coin you found in your junk drawer, only to get a call weeks later saying it's worth 7 figures. That moment, that heartbeat, that realization, it's what every collector dreams of, and it's not just about the money. It's about connection. That little penny passed through countless hands. It might have bought a newspaper, a piece of candy, a child's dream. And through all of that, it carried a secret worth more than most people will ever earn in a lifetime. Greatness often hides in the ordinary. The most valuable things don't always glitter. Sometimes they're buried in pocket lint, waiting for someone curious enough to notice. Every collector has a story like that, a what-if moment. Maybe it's a coin they almost threw away. Maybe it's one they've searched for their whole life. And for someone out there, that moment hasn't happened yet. Maybe it's you. Think about the math. Out of billions of pennies, only a few have the rare error combination that makes them priceless. That's like finding one drop of gold in an ocean of copper. But it's possible, and every new discovery proves it. You see, coin collecting isn't just a hobby. It's a hunt for hidden history. Each coin carries a fingerprint of time, a piece of craftsmanship, and sometimes a once-in-a-lifetime mistake that turns into treasure. So keep searching. Look closer. Pay attention to the tiny details most people ignore. That slightly off-center strike, that doubling of a date, that misplaced mint mark. It could be the difference between a penny and $1 million. Stories like these keep the collector's heart beating. They remind us that fortune favors those who look carefully, who never stop wondering what might be hiding in plain sight. Because once in a while, the universe rewards curiosity with something extraordinary. Somewhere right now, someone is about to make that discovery. Maybe it's a retiree going through an old coin jar. Maybe it's a young collector with a magnifying glass and a dream. Maybe it's you. So tonight, when you get home, take out that old drawer, that coffee tin, that jar of pennies you haven't touched in years. Line them up. Look at each one. 2006, Denver Mint. And when you find that tiny difference, that whisper of rarity, remember this story.